Hello. I don't know how long I'll stay alive for because I just heard thunder outside. I love that. It's really cozy. I was out in the garden the other day and got a lot done, but there were these rumbling thunder noises in the distance, and it was that lovely muggy weather. I loved a bit of heat. I don't get enough of it. I'm sitting here in summer with the winter jacket on, but yeah, it was lovely. So it's actually relevant because the topic is offline-ishness. And this is an impromptu stream. It all looks very dark and autumnal behind me. We're heading into autumn. We're heading into cozy season, and you're moving around a lot because you're on my lap. I hope you don't mind. Um, so I haven't done a channel kind of news live for a while, so I thought I'd do that. And at the moment, as you know, I'm busy chasing them away in tiny little droves because I only get tiny droves by reading one of my novels, a dystopian novel called They Said There Was, and I'm serializing that live. But that is not going to be live today. Okay, we're having a day off from it because people who are reading it need time to catch up to where I am in the book. And I think it gets a bit intimidating if a book starts getting ahead of you, if it's an audiobook. That's just my feeling about it. I don't know enough people to ask about it, to do research on it, to be honest with you. But I wanted to talk about books as one of my topics, right? The overall topic of this impromptu live is offline-ishness, okay? Because that is a very important topic coming up very recently. I have had it as a topic for quite a while on my channel. The AI at the end of the internet live stream, which is still up if you want to see it. That talked about one of the reasons why. Um, there are other reasons now with people being very aware of algorithms and what they're doing, and behavioral studies coming out about how online activities are influencing people's thinking patterns generally, and behavior and belief systems. Okay. So, a lot of the research returning data is not very cheering data about what online is doing to people. And I think that just conversationally with people, if you were asking people pros and cons of their usage of the internet, um, I don't know that you'll get even a realistic kind of a view that is able to kind of be self-reflective very much, because the whole thing about the internet is a lot of companies have kind of hijacked the internet to make it very addictive. And the addictive quality of the internet helps sell you products, basically. So it's an advertising space, and the the consuming of content space is getting squeezed constantly by advertisers butting in left, right, and center, and trying to influence you to get you to buy things, basically. But there are all sorts of influences coming in online that are trying to get you to influence you. It's about advertising as well and marketing, because it's trying to get you to sometimes buy into an idea in order to sell you something related to that idea. And you could say that because I want to give examples, that my series of books that of readings of a book that I am working through at the moment, reading live on those live streams, is a veiled attempt to sell you that book, because I'm giving you access to the book, maybe with the hopes that you'll buy the book at some later point, which I did with some of my sewing content, because I sell lace making tutorials online. So you could say, Yeah, well, she's only online because she's trying to sell things, which would be a very reasonable way to look at people online because it is a selling space now. Now, not everybody online is here to do that. And I'm not actually here. I don't think that putting my book up is going to sell copies of that book. It might and it mightn't. But there are other reasons for people being online. And sometimes you will get somebody like me who just wants to share something because they want to share it. I don't do that with all my content. I don't want to share all my content free. But like I have another channel and it's an art channel. And although I show people me working on things that are actually products that I'm going to sell, it's more with I'm going to give them something as well where I show them how they could begin making those products themselves, as well as pointing out, well, I make those products if you want to go over and look at them, you know. So I've actually just ended a relationship I had with one drop shipper there. So a lot of those products are gone now because I got test products posted out to me and some didn't arrive. And I said, well, their postal service, their whatever couriers they were using weren't reliable for me anyway, and I wasn't satisfied with the resolution. So, but that's another story, right? So, um, oh, it's lashing rain now. It's not quite as cozy. Don't mind rain in the middle of the night, but I'd like it to be sunny all day. I don't mind thunder and lightning and things like that because that's kind of cozy. But just lashing rain, no. So that's why it's so dark, you see, today. So I'm getting away slightly from the topic, but not really, because realizing what people are online for can be for different things is important, because the person coming online to watch YouTube is there for one reason. And the advertiser might be there for a completely different reason, but they're both in that space and they both have their own agenda, don't they? Now, the way that the advertiser influences the consumer's behavior is that they get them to behave in passive mode as much as possible via algorithms feeding you things and putting you in the right space to be advertised to. And the way the consumer is trying to use it is quite frequently to get information from something or entertainment. There are two of the main reasons people would be watching YouTube. So the entertainment thing, people are having problems increasingly with, and I'm only talking about this particular platform, but you could apply it to various places and various platforms in the internet. The conversation at the moment is coming up in relation to Spotify as well, because Spotify is another place that they're looking for ID verification for their new online safety reasons, because they've had new laws passed. And it's not really suiting people terribly well, in that they're saying, well, just to listen to a few songs, I don't want to have to give my ID and personal documents to a company that I don't really know how secure their data storage is and all that. And these companies are seem to be constantly open to getting hacked. Mainly due to the fact that they don't have a lot of them don't have very tight security, and you don't know up front what ones are very secure and what ones aren't, you see. So you're taking a big risk as a consumer. So that's made it less convenient. Then you've got ads intruding all the time, unless you're on a paid account. That was the way YouTube was trying to get you onto a paid account, bombarding you with ads and saying, hey, you can get rid of these on a paid account. But I'm hearing people on paid accounts saying they're still getting ads. So I don't know what's happening there. And a lot of the apps now, you still do get ads, even though people were under the impression when they paid up to monthly subs and things like that, that they were going to be ad free. So, and then all the subscriptions, if you do subscribe to services to get rid of ads, in the hope that you get rid of ads, and you're not guaranteed of that anymore either. It's very expensive, and people cannot afford things these days because prices are just going up, 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 up. I was around the shop yesterday, and they looked at me like I had two heads when I had bought a few things. They totted them up, and I said, "What? 22.80? What?" And I said, "Can I have a receipt with that?" And they gave me the receipt because they don't always give receipts either. Apparently, by law, they don't have to give you a receipt, which I think is mad because they can just make up numbers in their head, you know. And shops do that sometimes when they don't have to give receipts. So I got the receipt and I said, 7.50 for little nightlight candles for a little thing I had for burning essential oils. I like geranium oil sometimes, and I was running out of tea lights. So I said 7.50 for a packet of tea lights. I didn't realize they were that dear. Can I give them back and just get the money back, please? And they looked at me like I had two heads, like, why wouldn't you pay that, you know? But like, you can't even tell what the price of something is going to be anymore. And they get offended when they say, are you sure the price is correct? Because the price is going up by not just 20 cents anymore or 10 cents. They started first a few years ago putting things up by 10 cents at a time. Then they started putting them up by 20 cents at a time. Then they started putting them up 50 cents. Then they started putting them up by they're now putting things up by a quid at a time. And I've seen stuff like coffee go up by 2 quid at a time. And you're looking at prices and things when you do, even when you do get a receipt, or when you're waiting to hear the magic number they're giving you when you bought a couple of things. And you're saying, how could this thing be that price? And you are, about to say to them, are you sure? Then they get really annoyed when you ask. You're supposed to just pay anything, and you don't have it, you see. So you have to put something back. So I didn't buy the night lights and won't be buying them because I can't afford them. It's a luxury product now, you see, and I'm not buying luxury products. I'm buying things like this. This is a product that the last time, I don't think there was even a thunderstorm. Sometimes the thunderstorms put the internet out or electricity out. But recently I had an electricity outage for quite a few hours. And I have a little, you can't see it, it's behind me here at the moment. I'll move my chair so you can see it. What the hell? You should be able to see I don't have the grow light on it. So you can just see vaguely that little blue light there. That's the thing that I put my computer on when I'm sitting at my little tiny desk over there. But I have a grow light over it that makes it look lovely purple at night. But my aquarium, that has to have an air pump going to it, so the little shrimp in there can have well, it's actually at the surface oxygen exchange going on. But if there's an interruption in the power, their heat goes out, and they're not used to Irish temperatures. They're little Asian shrimp, and they need the water temperature to be about 22 is balmy for them, but 20 degrees or above, which you're not going to get in Ireland. Even in summer, you won't really get that. So air pump is absolutely vital to them, and heat is vital as well if there's a power cut in the winter. So I haven't solved that problem yet, but I did buy this for the next time there's a power cut. And this is relevant because I'm talking about offline stuff. What I'm actually talking about is that you have to have offline solutions. This just arrived this morning. I have to test it. You have to have offline solutions, I think, at the moment, because online is becoming so difficult to navigate without being totally manipulated. Sometimes without your knowledge, and people don't like to admit they're being manipulated on online. I have seen a lot of users argue in my comment, a lot of subs arguing when I go on to this topic, that they're not manipulated at all online, that they know when to go offline and everything. And older users are constantly saying this, but it's not always true. What people say and what they actually do can be two different things. So if you were to look at your internet usage for a week and calculate how many hours you were online. I don't mean sitting on front of an internet, but with device open and playing music, listening to something, listening to my audiobook maybe, or playing some music, or a video playing in the background, or somebody, a podcast or something while you're doing something, not even just sitting on front of the computer or your phone, looking at your phone. You might be quite shocked to see that you're up around 5 or 6 hours. That's the average. And not everybody wants to admit to that. So that's 6 hours for advertisers and algorithms to be influencing you, you see. And the kind of influence they're having on you at the moment, uh, and we have to look at this because you have to account for how you use your time to see, are you using your time wisely, and your state of mind. Is your state of mind still balanced, or are you being influenced in ways that are not good for your mind? And all the studies coming back are saying that no, a lot of the developments online are bad for you. They've ruined our attention span completely and hijacked our attention generally and influenced us in ways that have made us a lot more uh, black and white in our thinking and toxic in some cases. A lot of kind of toxic opinions and everything getting pushed on us through algorithms. I don't know if you can hear that. It's lovely rolling thunder. Some people find that frightening. I love it. But my internet is still gone. Could go out now any second, but we'll see. Um, so it's like this little battery pack that I got, which takes AA batteries for my replacement for that's a stone bubbler that goes onto this airline here and into the pump, which is run by batteries, that if I have electricity outage, I can get air circulating in the tank, or oxygen exchange at the surface, at least for my little shrimpy. So that's an offline solution. So basically I'm talking about, one, recognizing if there's a problem. Now, a lot of people will be stuck at stage one, where they'll either say, no, I don't have a problem, and maybe they're correct, or two, saying, well, it's not really a problem. I can control it and everything, and certain degrees of lying to yourself. And I did a live stream. I don't think I still have it up. Not very many people watch that one. And people don't really go back and watch very much of my content when it's a talking ahead type thing here. Unless something has a lot of flashy editing and things, you see, people don't want to watch it in the internet. They don't really want to watch old style internet. Which they should really, because it has no ads on it, the old style stuff, because it's so deeply unpopular. You won't get interrupted by ads. I love that. Doesn't get enough views to get ads on it, you see, so I'm not making money from it. But it has benefits to you, the fact that I'm not making money from it. But so if you even get to stage one of asking yourself the questions, the kinds of questions, a lot of people don't even know how to do this anymore because they've become so passive from watching things on the internet. They're in entertainment mode, which tends to be a non-active mode of passively receiving entertainment flowing over you, okay? And that is not a mode in which you are a questing mode, in which you are asking questions, okay? And that side of our thinking is getting increasingly turned off. Oh, we've got the lightning flashes now, super. Um, Getting increasingly turned off by the internet because of the dopamine hijacking of our brains. Extra high stimulation for dopamine, short term payoffs of excitement and, flashing colors and, flashy edits and uh, wild over the top viewpoints and arguments or excitement or whatever on the internet, right? And then the following depletion, if you go offline, makes everything in real life, and we're talking dopamine still, makes everything in real life seem not very interesting. This is why I was talking about it's very difficult to switch from online activities to an offline activity like reading, because it is a slow payoff activity. Internet tends to be a fast payoff. Scroll, 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 scroll. Watch something exciting thing. Dopamine hit. Uh, Scroll again because you're obsessed and addicted until you anticipate getting another dopamine hit of another video and you see a nice, exciting thumbnail. And you get a little hit just from seeing the thumbnail. Then you watch the video, you might get another little hit a few seconds even or minutes later. Constant overstimulation of your dopamine centers, and then boom, they come down to a lower baseline after those quick payoffs when you go offline. So everything else seems very dull, not interesting, and unrewarding, unsatisfying. Okay. So you have to, if you aren't happy with your online life and you're saying, oh, I'd like to do more on offline things, I think. And people are having that conversation now. It's great because it's a very big conversation at the moment. And I'm so thrilled to see how big it's gotten because uh, advertisers have messed up the internet that much by all the things they did to get to advertise to you. It became too invasive for people, and people said, I'm not even getting the pleasure out of it anymore. So, if, like me, you're thinking, and I had been for a long time and had been started doing it quite a while back, but if you're thinking about going offline more, you need to know about the dopamine mechanisms involved in that so that you recognize what's happening. It's like the giving up smoking thing. When I gave up smoking, I had to know all about cravings and everything, what they were about, and the psychological aspect of that addiction as well, to know what that was about before I could deal with it effectively. Information is very important, getting information on these things. So you need to know how that system works in order to make an effective plan to get offline more. But some of the things you can do are fairly seamless and painless. One of the things I did that was seamless and painless was um, the music playlist. If you went over to my community tab after this, just to see what I'm talking about, I often post about stuff I'm talking about, videos there. And the other day I posted the thing I was saying I was getting my music playlist together. What happens on YouTube? I'm not on Spotify, right? So I don't have to go off and do like ID verification to access my playlists, and I don't have to pay to listen to music, right? To organize playlists. So I'm not listening to music online like that. But I had been listening to music on YouTube, which I liked because sometimes I got a video with it. Sometimes I got music tuition for learning classical guitar and things like that on it. And favorite performers, like say somebody like Glenn Gould playing Bach's Goldberg variations of the 1981 recording. I play that every night when I'm going online to play chess with a bot. I play that in the background. So I'm giving somebody called Liskadiddle or something like that. Thousands of views playing that every night. But every night ads come up on that. And I cannot listen to a beautiful piece of Bach with ads interrupting it all the time. Or at the beginning, and depending, I've discovered because I have a VPN, which a lot of people are getting now as well. And you can get a link for that over on my community page as well and help me and you save money if you do that. But no matter what country you're in, you'll still have ads. But the ads are different lengths depending on what country you're in. I've discovered that. Um, because you can't skip the ads on a VPN. Where a VPN is helpful is for the Online Safety Act is implemented in different countries at different times, you see. Now, I've already verified my ID with Google back in July. They passed the Online Safety Act in the UK, and Ireland as well implemented it then. The EU implemented it then, and it's really only US viewers now are getting the shock of that, because quite often um, EU news or UK news just gets not kind of listened to, and they don't think, anything is coming from there to affect them in the US, you see. But it did, because it's a worldwide kind of push towards identifying people online all the time, because apart from anything else, the politicians were getting an awful lashback from ordinary people who were organising fairly organically online to give them all hell, since kind of like even before COVID, but from COVID on, really, because of their policies. And it's funny, because the book that I am reading at the moment, it's a dystopian novel. It is about a pandemic, and a lot of the dystopian happenings in it are to do with this, how the governments of the world are handling the outbreak of a viral pandemic, you see. So that's where all the dystopian happenings in the book are going on. So I'm going to talk about the book for another offline kind of it's an online kind of transition technique. Uh, I'm very into kind of transitioning smoothly from one thing to another when trying to change behavior. So this is kind of assuming that, you are kind of like me, that you're at the point that you go, a lot of things online aren't working for me anymore. Like the music thing really isn't working terribly well for me anymore, because I had a way of skipping all the ads before. There's no way I'm going to get bullied into getting a premium subscription on YouTube just to get rid of ads, which apparently doesn't work very well anyway. I think there are still some ads. I think you still get some ads, but it's wildly expensive. And I'm a person who has just given up buying tea lights because they're too expensive for me around at the shop. So that wasn't going to happen anyway. And I don't do things because somebody's bullied me into doing them. You see what I mean? I dig my heels in and say I'm definitely not doing it now, because I'm not into being coerced about things. And coercion is a very hot topic online now at the moment, because the algorithm is feeding me stuff at the moment, and I realize that you're in a bubble when the algorithm is feeding you, but it's feeding me stuff from the US that is kind of manosphere stuff, um, that is making it clear that there's a small but very vocal minority in the US of males that are um, sort of evangelical Christian types who want to take away women's votes, uh, and thereby economically, they will also want to take away their jobs, women's jobs, but they want to economically force women to marry them, because they have no other choices financially in life, because they're men who can't get a date. And women don't want them. And if you were stuck in that algorithm, you would think that's everybody um, is having this problem in the US, and it's not necessarily so. And you could go online and see declining birth rates, but you'll see them everywhere. And I would argue it's mainly for the economic reasons, not that all men are these toxic types who don't see women as humans with rights. Like them, they want to take away women's votes. They want to take away their reproductive rights, and they want to have them so financially bereft of any resources that they will turn to these toxic men who have said they don't like women, to marry them and make babies for them because men realize that they do better on the jobs market and everything uh, if they're not competing with women and if they're married as well, because they have the women they want. These are the guys that want the women in very much in slave mode, where they're just um, vessels. They have been referred to as vessels by a very toxic pastor who has some association now with the US Secretary for Defense, that idiot guy, Homestead. Um, He's apparently in this Greg, whatever his name is, in his church, and that church pastor is, a brosphere type guy, um, who who thinks women should be subservient to men, you see, and have no role outside the home at all, and they're vessels. He was the one that referred to women as vessels, the kind of people who have people and are vessels for that. So it's very creepy, weird, coercive, and mad stuff. But this is what the algorithm is feeding me at the moment, and it's heavy, juicy stuff. And you can get out of those algorithms, but it'll just bring you to another algorithm that's quite toxic as well, and try and get you stuck in that. Unless you're very active out getting out of those things, your whole mindset can be so influenced by them that you think the whole world works like this. So doing things like saying to yourself, okay, while I listen to music on YouTube and I enjoy it, and I know what musical things I like and everything, but I don't like the ads, it spoils the music completely. What can I do? So my strategy for that was create a playlist with MP3 format things. After looking online to see what was the best thing, I considered a record player, which would involve me buying vinyl from scratch, buying record player, finding space for record player, speakers, all this kind of thing. You don't want to get a cheap record player because the sound is just too bad, and upgrading, it's not a thing you can upgrade bit by bit kind of thing. Bad option. CDs might have been a better option, except I threw out a lot of my CDs lately because I'd transferred CDs to an old Power Mac PC, um, and used that just as a player because the sound was quite good on it, and threw out the CDs. So I don't have CDs anymore, and I don't have the Power Mac because it just the screen went completely on it recently, so I threw it out. Or I didn't throw it out; it's gone into the graveyard of computers because I can never find a way to get rid of computers. So so then I thought, okay, online free places to create your own playlists. A lot of them are just radio stations, and you can't really create a playlist free. So I didn't like them because you didn't have as much choice as you wanted still, and I've never liked radio. So that was out. So MP3 formats, and an external memory stick, just a little SIM card on a memory stick, just slotted into my computer. So a micro SD card, basically, in a memory stick, with MP3s for my own playlist of things, and just make MP3 playlists. So the last few nights I have been listening to Goldberg, Glenn Gould playing the Goldberg variations offline. I've been listening to that offline while playing chess online. I'll probably continue to play chess online because I can play all the bots. I used to, or a boyfriend used to have, a very old, people don't know now that you could get these, but I don't know if you can still get them. I used to have a chess set via the boyfriend that you could play against the computer. It was a Kasparov, and it's a physical item, but an electronic item, you see, that you just put batteries or something in, and you play against whatever bot they had in it. So that was how I used to play chess years ago. But I'm still playing chess online, but I don't have to suffer ads and everything. And the subscription for the site I'm playing chess on is cheap, so I don't mind that at all. So I listened to that offline while playing chess online, and that was lovely. I didn't have to go through this whole palaver waiting for ads to finish and all that. And increasingly, I'm watching less YouTube because the thing I had for watching stuff without ads doesn't work all the time now. So I'm saying, okay, there's no way I'm going to sit there and inflict all those ads on myself and just be a pawn for them, wasting all these minutes that add up during a day if you're online a lot, you see, that add up where I'm just creating revenue for YouTube while somebody's rotting my head with, although people say, oh, I don't watch those ads, I don't watch them, I just tune them out. Subconsciously, you are being influenced by them. So you're at the advertiser's mercy, allowing yourself to receive this much stuff. Even with YouTube just participating in their algorithms, and allowing them to feed you stuff, you're still being influenced, you see. So how do you get away from that a bit more? And I'm really only I'm a bad live streamer in a way because I don't get to the point in the first few minutes, but I'm old school, okay? And so for old school solutions to seamlessly go from being that influenced all the time and that hyper overstimulated with dopamine hits all the time, to the point where when you're offline, your dopamine levels, your base level for dopamine has gone way down, so you can't enjoy anything properly compared to being online, which keeps you more hooked online and makes it difficult to fight going back online, um, because of the addictive mechanism of it. You can't fight it with willpower, you see, it doesn't work. You have to seamlessly transition into making your offline life more or as attractive as your online life. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? So, um, the for me, I would be saying to myself, well, what are the things that I love doing offline that I've always loved doing offline? And how can I replace the things I was doing online that are now not serving me properly with an offline version that's giving me more satisfaction than the online version? And I don't mind if there's a transitional stage where I'm finding it difficult to transition. That's not a bad thing because I understand the dopamine mechanism now, how it works, and how you have to have a little bit of, you know, awkward kind of phase before you really get to the payoff of really enjoying your offline life and having a better experience than you were having before with just being a passive online person. Okay. And I'm sorry if some of this insults people because people don't like to admit a lot of the time. I'm not saying everybody's a total addict, but people that are, a lot of them don't like to admit how manipulated and addicted they are to online stuff. Okay. So, like, I'm just trying to be honest here. And it does take honesty to do this, but it starts with desire to do it because it's not until we suffer that we want to change because the suffering hurts. And that's what makes us say, this isn't working for me. How do I get to not suffering? So you're going to want to change something, aren't you? It makes sense. So it's if you're suffering a bit online, you look at the areas you're suffering in and saying, okay, I don't want to suffer ads anymore. What do I do about that? And that's like a lot of my stuff is about ads. So to not have to suffer ads anymore, the music solution was great for me. The solution might be different for you if ads are your issue as well. Um, the internet outages and things like that, people can suffer a lot during them as well. And what do you do with yourself when the internet is out? I played guitar the last time it was out, and I had an okay time, or would have been a very good time only for the shrimp, but I have that kind of semi sorted now. I wish I could sort out heating for them, but I'll look into that and see can I come up with the solution. But I had offline things that I was quite happy doing, and I had solutions for cooking and things like that offline. That wasn't really a problem. So other offline things, because you can't just go offline and be somebody. Apparently now, see, online activities have, to a large extent, stripped our capacity to have hobbies and interests or be interesting people, because we're passively consuming for so many hours of the day, and we're not even thinking over what we're consuming in order to process it, because we're not giving ourselves time to process it in order to fit it in a rational way. We're just consuming and regurgitating. That's what we're doing, right? Worst case scenario, it sounds like, but that is actually what has happened to a lot of people. So people have become much dumber because they're not able to cogitate their way through things or process things properly. And you find then that you meet people who can't communicate with other people. Now, I'm an introvert, so I tend to not want to communicate with other people in real life very much. But when you do, they often don't speak English very well. Like when I was trying to buy things yesterday, the person behind the counter, I said, "Did you say 80 or 88?" when he was telling me the price. And he looked at me and he kind of paused for, 5 seconds or something, and said, "It's rounded up," which wasn't what I was asking him. I asked him a very specific question about the amount of money that he just told me I owed him, and it wasn't showing on the till, because they have a habit of not ringing things up. um, so he answered some other question that I hadn't asked. That was an inability to communicate with somebody, really, because you're not hearing what's. It's not that you're not hearing; it's you're not able to. You're not able to process it, you know. So this is a young fella. He's probably on the internet a lot, But like young people now, a lot of them just don't have any English skills, any communication skills, and have no idea, how to listen or communicate effectively with people. I'm not saying they're all like that, but it is a problem. It's a very common problem, is what I'm saying, that you will meet in almost everyday life. So these are people brought up on the internet, you see. So people of my era are generally have a much wider vocabulary, better ability to understand what is being said, and a better ability to be able to process information that they're given, despite what a lot of young people say about, everybody they've labeled boomers, basically, which can be anybody really over 40, as far as I can tell. They're not even getting the demographic right on that one. It's just a term that they use for people who are um, older than them, that a disparaging term that they use for them. Basically, they use it as a term of disparagement, which it wasn't originally. But that's it. Language is fluid, you see, it changes. But it changes in the direction of, instead of having 5 or 6 very accurate words for nuances of things, that you use one word instead. So cringe could be used instead of various words that describe, say, emotions that you would have in response to particular behaviors that people did. that all comes now under the umbrella of cringe. So you're not even really describing your own emotions very accurately anymore. And this is why I love people like Marcel Proust, whose volume of his 7 volumes of In Remembrance of Times Past, or it's actually got 2 different titles, depending, because it's translated from French, depending on who the translator was. But his use of language is absolutely fabulous. And this is why I love books, because their ability to bring you from skills that were down here, which are, when you think about language, it's a fabulous navigation skill for life, for thinking, and for communicating with people, and for getting things done. It's a fantastic skill for that. And reading is a way to bring you from down here to up here in those skills. And you get your whole mind back when you're reading in a way that you're participating in. It's not a passive thing, and it is deeply, deeply rewarding. I would say it's as rewarding. I'm an artist, so I'm going to say this, of course, as rewarding at least as the creation of art. If you have ever tried to create anything artistic or craft work or anything like that, you'll realize how rewarding those activities are. They give back so much more even than you put in, because your whole person is in them, your physical body and your mind. Now, not so much so when you're reading, your physical body is not going to be that much in it. Quite often, you float off into this other place in your imagination that really lives for you, but your body isn't actually working hard. So, reading typically is a very deeply relaxing activity. Even if you're reading a book that's very exciting and has a lot of very exciting page turning, as they call them, things happening in it, it's still something that's very relaxing because your mind wants to do work. That is a very important thing about reading as compared to passively watching videos like this. Except your mind is having to work more watching my video, because my video doesn't have loads of editing and cuts and things being shown to you and everything in it. So your ability to listen is being tested in this video, okay? It's not that my video is boring. It's that it's not appealing to your dopamine pathways that are overstimulated. That's the difference. Reading is the same. Reading asks you to put some work in, but the minute you start working on it, I won't say the minute, no, about 10 minutes after you start working on it is the time I find, because we're online creatures coming to an offline activity. 10 minutes, we'll say, into it, when your focus settles, because it takes a while for your online busy monkey dopamine mind to come down to a focused enough level to actually take in what's being said in the book, okay? When that happens, you enter, it's like opening a beautiful door. You enter a portal into this wonderful place that brings you somewhere amazing and beautiful, in which you are the co-creator. And your whole imaginative spirit opens out and blossoms very quickly. And when you close the book, when you finish reading for that day and you go off to do other things, it doesn't stop. It stays with you. That deeply satisfied feeling stays with you. And this is why I want to make this video today, and why I'm always on about reading, and why I've given you as an audiobook introduction to offline reading, or given you the audiobook version of They Said There Was, the dystopian novel I wrote, to try and tempt you in to the idea that you can transition from online activities to really worthwhile offline activities that are similar to the ones you were doing online, but just better because they're not hijacking your dopamine system and sucking the love and joy you have for the world, the real world, out of you. They're giving you something back and upping your skills, upping your knowledge, upping your joy in life, bringing you right up to a new level of satisfaction in life that online stuff was sucking out of you. Okay? So we're filling you up again, is the idea. When you're going offline, your offline activities, the idea should be that you're filling up again what online, the bits that online was trying to suck out of you, and you're filling them up to overflowing again. Okay, and you're not just a vessel for an idea like that mad pastor had with the mad US Secretary of Defense had about being a vessel for somebody to put something in. Uh, you are your own, you fill your own cup with the things you're choosing, actively choosing to put in. And the skills and abilities that you want are the ones you worked on. And why are you working on them? To make your life better, richer, more rewarding, happier, better skills, the whole package that the online stuff was sucking your ability to be able to do out of you. They were siphoning all the joy out of you with that for their own evil money making reasons. Okay. So this is kind of like a book club in a way because if anybody got to 51 minutes in, post underneath. I've seen people doing this. I think it's cute. If anybody got this far in the video, can you post a little, some sort of emoji underneath? Whatever your favorite emoji is, post that if you got to 51 minutes in, because you're somebody with an attention span already. So you would love this plan, I think. What I want to do is I like encouraging people. The people are giving out about it's this manosphere algorithm that I was in again. People were giving out, men specifically, giving out about um, how the world isn't built for them anymore. I really understand that argument because jobs aren't giving them enough to live on, to buy a house or have a family on, and the way they see it, women don't want them anymore. And they haven't kind of put two and two together and said, well, it's because we're spouting ideas off the internet that women find extremely toxic and hateful. So they don't want to come near us because they're afraid of us and find us repulsive because of those ideas that have been fed to us that we've just swallowed and are now regurgitating. But they don't feel that they feel like this book that I'm reading, the Colin Wilson book, an outsider, but not the genius outsider sort. They feel like an outsider that nobody wants them, that they're failures and losers in life and they don't have a decent job and they can't get a girl and all this, right? So we're all familiar with that kind of disillusionment with modern life because it sells you a lot of lies about if you work hard enough, you're going to get rewards and you're going to have enough money and you're going to be able to live in a satisfying way to yourself. And, you know, it's increasingly not true because you're living in an endless Hunger Games now, you know, where you can't have any treats and you're just working all the time. But, what I want to do is encourage people like that to go out offline and give them ideas about how to do that. But they won't listen to me because I'm a boomer, right? So I just encourage anybody who's on my channel to do these things and hope that it seeps outwards. And people's dissatisfaction about online life at the moment, it means that it is actually happening already. But the more channels like mine and bigger channels that tell people how to do things, the better. So what I'm doing is I'm saying Yeah, there are lots of clubs to join, but I'm also giving you a little transition thing just to show you examples of how you can transition. So the transition thing I want to do is I gave you that audio book. I've done it before with Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I gave you an audio book for people who are still online, but might like a little bit of content that makes you think a little bit and has a story and everything, but that you can do other activities too, podcast style. So they're getting like a classic piece of literature like Dracula or a dystopian novel like They Said There Was, read to them. And it's getting the idea, first of all, that reading is a worthwhile activity, even if it's listening first, right? I would argue that reading is better than listening because of the way that you process information. You're even more co-active with the book if you're having to read it off a page. And obviously, there are more skills involved in reading. It's a more intentional thing, and it takes more work reading than listening. Okay, and a lot of these people are people with the worst problems in communication directions are the people who read the least. So reading is one of the most helpful skills that you can get that are going to help you up skills in various other departments because you're in the reading habit, and you can go off and get information about anything you want once you're able to type a question in the right way, or get your question answered in the right way, or like the guy in the shop who couldn't understand what I was asking him about the money. Was it 80 cents or was it 88 cents that he had said? And he didn't understand that question. Like him, it helps you understand communication, what is being said. So with that in mind, I'm doing an extra thing. We've only, on this book, we have only about 3 or 4 more episodes to go on that book, okay? And all the episodes are up. So if you haven't yet done this as a project and you wanted to start at the beginning, you could do as a little plan to get yourself into offline reading, starting with listening to an audiobook. If you did an episode of these every day, you're covering about 3 chapters of the book per day. And you will have the book finished within, I think it's going to be about 12 episodes maybe. So within 12 days, you would have read a book. And of course, you will get a payoff psychologically for that, having completed a book. You will get a deep sense of satisfaction, I'm guessing, having read a book. And it gets you on your reading journey so that you might want to hear another audiobook or get a book to read offline. Choose a book for yourself to read offline. And even the choosing of a book is an intentional activity that takes back your hijacked brain from the internet and sucks back the energy into you, and you are now in control of what you are doing with yourself. You are a person with choices. And some of you will think, that sounds crazy. Of course I'm a person with choices. Why doesn't she know this? But some people on the internet do not know that their attention has been hijacked and their ability to make choices for themselves has also been hijacked. And we have to get real with ourselves in this battle with advertisers basically on the internet, who have taken over the internet and made the internet an increasingly shitified place to be, a more miserable zone for people to be in. And it's going to get worse because of the AI at the end of the internet, basically, that I spoke about. So the extra thing that I'm going to do, that book will be finished in a few days, okay? And the extra thing I'm going to do, now, I don't have a very big channel. I would have loved to do this. I would have loved to found a book club on this book, because the thing that I want to encourage people to do is join clubs offline, specifically the sort of people who complain that they don't meet people in real life anymore. I want them to prove to themselves that you can meet people offline, because they are so demoralized with the idea that you don't meet people in the real world anymore and it's just not happening for them, that they're not trying to find ways to do that. And I'm always suggesting to people like that, please go out and find a club to be in, to try to learn a new skill, and you will run into new people there. And even if you don't meet a girlfriend, you will meet people and you'll become interested in people and in skills again. And you will make decisions about, well, I like this club, I'm enjoying archery, but I haven't enjoying the book club. So I'm going to, join a different club now. And a lot of these clubs, you think money because online everything is subscription fees, but a lot of stuff offline is free, community-based free stuff. And you can look it up online, what's on in my community, and then you type in where you live and you can find out what's on and whether it's free or not. So you have absolutely no excuse. You just have to be able to think far enough to be able to, because even your thinking has been hijacked. You have to be able to think, to say, okay, what clubs do I think might be in my neighborhood? So if you think, I mentioned chess earlier, if you think, how do you do chess then? I don't even know how to do it. Chess clubs in my area, and you type in your area and you look up and you say, okay, do I have to pay to that, go to that one, or is it free? Well, and if you have to pay, are you willing to pay to go once to see what it's like? Is it worth it to you to pay to go once to see what it's like? Or does that lead to a further decision? No, I need things that are free to do in my area. Maybe go to a free Tai Chi class in my area. I'm thinking of all the ones that I do. I did a free art class recently. Nobody turned up. But it turned out, because it's a very close network of people in my area, they didn't like the fact that I was running it on my own and nobody would turn up because I was a person who had decided myself to do that, and they wanted me. They came around and said, hey, you want to be in our network? Some co-op that they had, they wanted me to be in their co-op, and they were trying to persuade me to do that. So I thought, that's why they've not turned up to the freebie, because normally loads of people would turn up if it's free, you see. So free events in my area, you look that up. Art galleries and things like that, some of them are free. Commercial art galleries are free. They can be a bit intimidating for somebody new, but there are a lot of things. But knowing how to, you're an online person, so you should know how to look something up. A lot of people don't. I've had a lot of students who don't know how to look something up, or want their teacher to look it up for them. They don't want to think, you see. Their ability to think has been hijacked by the internet, by being a passive consumer of content. You have to get that back, okay? So you have to have it together just enough to make some kind of a plan, even if it's only a plan for the next week, okay? Even if it's only a plan to try one thing. So if you try one thing, it might be read the book, listen to the book online, or pick another book. But what I am going to do for viewers, whether anybody turns up or not for this, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to do a book club event for this book, because what I'm showing you is what a book club is like, okay? And book clubs are interesting depending on what the book is. I have very fancy tastes in books. So I haven't joined a book club, because the books that they read, I go, I would never read that book. But there are good book clubs to go to, and there are good discussions to be had. And one of the reasons that people don't want to go to those is that they're afraid they won't have an opinion about a book. So I am going to show you how to talk about books in a special book club episode, okay? And I was going to say earlier that if I'd had a bigger audience, or even more engagement with my audience, I would, on my community tab, turn on community posts for viewers for this particular topic, because I would love more interaction on it, but I don't think it's worth it because I get so little interaction on my videos that I think it would be just disappointing to me to do it and would make my channel look worse, like even less interaction if I did it. But the point of in a book club, you read a book, you get satisfaction out of reading the book yourself, or you hated the book, one or the other. Or, you thought the book was okay, but not kind of, life-changing or whatever. But you talk to other people about the book. So a lot of people don't know how to do that. And it's a fantastic skill just for conversations with people. Because if people say to you in a conversation, what are you up to? If you get past the stupid weather conversation, which I don't bother having because I'm an introvert and I hate small talk, if you're somewhere where you get to have a conversation with somebody, what happens if you've no hobbies and nothing to talk about and nothing they're interested in? You can't just bang on about whatever your hobby is to the exclusion of anything else they want to talk about. But it is nice if you've got stuff happening in your life. So in book clubs, they talk about a common experience, which is a book that they've read. And my book club thing is showing you how to talk about a particular book. And there will be spoilers in that one because this is a book club analysis of this book that I'm doing when I finish reading it. So for readers who are tempted to start a reading project, this is like the end point of that project, because when you read a book, a lot of people nowadays read a book for the story. Okay, they read the book, they get the story, they put the book down and they go, right, what book is next? Okay, I'm reading this one now. And then if somebody asks them about the book, they say, oh, well, it was about this and this happened, then that, then that, then that. And the other person goes, did you like it? Yeah, it was okay. And that's the end of the conversation. Have you learned anything from that book? What did it make you think about? Did it up your skills in any way? Did it introduce any ideas to you that were challenging ideas? What themes in the book particularly appealed to you? What part of the story touched you personally? These are all things which nobody seems to ask anymore, because definitely the way people talk about books on social media, which tends to influence the way people talk about things in real life as well, is so shallow that it never gets to that. And another reason it never gets to that is because social media has sucked people's ability to think out of them so much that they still want to hear a story, but they cannot make any connection with that story personally that they can understand, because they obviously had made some connection with the story subconsciously if they persisted to the end of the story and enjoyed it, but they don't understand it. These are people who don't understand themselves and what they're thinking. And really your subconscious, it might be always the thoughts in your subconscious always available to you, but it's not completely blocked off from you. So you have access to an awful lot of your thinking you should have access to that people just don't, because they don't have time to think anymore. Slow activities like reading are great for giving you time to sit in the moment, to think, and to have spaces between thoughts, which is where the processing happens. Like at night when you're sleeping, you're processing what happened during the day, you're fitting it in to your kind of schema of how the world works, to try to make sense of it. And some things that you haven't quite made sense of yet might come up in recurring dreams where you're still dealing with them and trying to make sense of them. But you have the time in sleep to do that. During the day, people often don't have that time. So we have to create that time for ourselves again. Reading is fantastic for doing that. So that particular, it's going to be a live stream. That live stream is going to be designed to do that, to talk about that book, to talk about themes in it, and give a kind of an analysis session. And it's a book club style analysis, because often if you're out at a club with real people and you were saying, you were doing a book club thing, you might have two, or sometimes they do this, you have 2 or 3 books that you choose from, and then people in the club will do a short little summary of the book, what they thought of it, what the themes were in it, for the other club members. And then afterwards, when the kind of informal thing happens, you might talk to people one-on-one, like where I say to you, oh, that book, the Dostoevsky Notes from the Underground one that you chose, that sounded really interesting, that one. I might read it. But is it a bit depressing? Did you find it a bit depressing, or was it a good read? And then they could tell me, no, it was about, so I haven't read this book yet, but it's on my mind because I want to read it next. The character in it was kind of depressed and everything, but he had a lot of dilemmas to solve in it. But the way that he solved these dilemmas were so interesting, I thought, that you weren't depressed reading it because you were so involved in the story. And then the language, the way he conveyed those feelings and everything was so amazing. Have you ever heard somebody talk about books like that? Probably not. That is the way people used to talk about books when I was back in school, before the internet, when we could still talk, when we could still communicate effectively, and people still read books regularly and still shared ideas about things. This is what we did as teenagers. We sat around, we listened to albums, and we talked about books. Amongst other things, he talked about all kinds of things, philosophy, and we didn't know we were little philosophers. Even before I was reading philosophy, we were talking about life and, why we're here and everything that all teenagers do like talking about. But we were better able to communicate. And I'm sorry if somebody young is watching. I don't get that many viewers under sort of 25-ish. I don't get that many under that age. So I don't think I will be insulting anybody saying that. But we are losing the ability to communicate. With me, it's more or less the desire to communicate face to face, because there are more people out there who just don't want to communicate on the kind of deep level or about the things I want to communicate about. But these are important things. Music, books, art, all important things to communicate about, because they're all the creative things that you can also be engaged in, and antithetical to the agenda behind why companies want to keep you online. So this is also a transitional thing to get you away from online, to show you why a club can look very intimidating at first. How do you walk into a room full of people you don't know, when you don't have loads of skills or your skills are just online ones of passively listening? How do you do that? How do you make the transition to going to a club to do something and overcome the fear of doing that? Well, you can bring your passive self to those places, you see. That'll work for you. And that's how you overcome the fear of going the first time. But then you become a less passive person, and you become somebody who is able to communicate their ideas better through some of those clubs. And the reading one is a great one to start with. So you can start with me if you want by listening to the audiobook complete with coughs and sniffles and everything in it, and getting some words wrong sometimes and carrying on anyway, as an easy transition towards choosing a book for yourself afterwards to read. And have the book club experience by me doing the live stream after it for a sort of post-match analysis, talking about the book. And if you have read the book, that will be a very interesting live stream for you. If you have not, I'm going to write it on the video that it's a spoiler alert on the video, because I'll spoil the entire plot if you are reading the book. Obviously you're not going to want to know what happened next in the book before you read it. Although, some kinds of readers, me for example, I don't really mind. I'll still enjoy a book because I'm a writer and I'm enjoying it stylistically and thematically as much as I'm enjoying the story. But that is what I'm going to do. And if people did like it, because I can get very, not depressed, but I can get a bit sometimes about being online myself, because on my channel, not that many people are into reading. But if people did enjoy it and wanted to do a book club, yeah, I'll do a book club. I'll do a book club or something on Patreon or one of those online things to help your transition period to moving offline and help you up your reading skills for thinking, because it's critical skills we're developing, and thinking, i.e. processing skills for life that we're developing, and conversational skills, because your vocabulary and ability to understand concepts comes up very dramatically and very fast reading, extremely fast. And I do think that talking to other people about what you're reading is, I won't say vital to that, because I've done a lot of my reading in my life completely on my own and not had anybody to talk to about the books that I've been interested in. And my skills have come way up. So clearly, I don't have any problem with vocabulary or communicating ideas or anything like that. So it can be done on your own. But if you're somebody who is bemoaning the idea that we're all online now and you can't meet people offline and you can't have friendships or anything, this is perfect for you, because this helps you transition from one to the other, from online to offline, and have the skills to be able to hit the ground running if you do join clubs, even if they're not reading clubs. The skills I'm giving you in this, starting in the live stream, is going to hugely increase your skill and confidence going in to do any of those offline activities with other people if you're a sociable person, which is wild coming from an extreme introvert like myself who doesn't hang out with other people at all, but I understand how it works, and I have hung out with people in my life, and I'm a good communicator and everything, and I understand, having taught social media stuff for a while, I understand why it happened, and I understand marketing and everything, coming at it from a marketer's point of view and everything. I understand why people's skills in those areas have gone down so rapidly, and what the fix is. I understand what the fix is for that. So if that sounds like an interesting plan for you, it's probably going to sound like an interesting plan if you had been thinking, online is a bit shitty these days, and it's a bit shittier than I can actually handle. It's great. It's a great plan for that. And even if you don't like my plan, it might inspire you to create your own plan. You have to create your own plan. So my plan involved getting the offline playlist and showing other people how to join me in offline-ish book clubs and, real life clubs and everything, just, before I give up on the internet completely. I'm going to show people how to do that kind of thing via the idea of book clubs, with a transition from listening to an audio book into being able to develop critical skills in order to analyze a book you've read, with a view to going to join a book club somewhere. And if you want the book club to be online, if you want me to go on Patreon or one of those for a while and do some sort of a forum for people to discuss books, or you want me to do more lives here, I'll be accessible to that if you want, but I don't expect it, because I don't get much book engagement on my channel. But there could be one or two people watching who a light bulb goes off for, and that's fine. That's enough for me, because sometimes it's enough to be able to share an idea with somebody, to light a fire that starts as a spark and then becomes a flame, and then a fire passionately burning in them, to be able to do something in their lives, to change their lives, a part of their life that they maybe weren't satisfied with. So I try. What can I say? I try. So the next episode of that is not coming up today. Probably tomorrow. My throat gets a bit, and I'm wearing my throat out again today. My throat gets a bit sore reading 4 chapters at a time. So sometimes I give it a few days off, and a few people have to catch up. That's on a playlist. The playlist is over on my community tab. You can find a link to the playlist, or on any one of the videos, and the name of the book is They Said There Was, and you can start from episode 1, and you can even listen to just a chapter at a time, because I announce it when I'm going on to a new chapter. So you can just stop the video after chapter 1. If you can only have a 5-minute attention span, you've still got a chapter done. You know what I mean? And then the next day you might find, okay, I'm listening to chapter 2, but I was managed to pay attention to listening to that for 5 minutes. So I might do a 10-minute slot today and get 2 more chapters done, and now I've got 3 chapters done. And then at the end, I'm going to go and listen to the live stream that's about the analysis of the book, and see what she says as the writer of the book, what she says about what the plot and the theme and the, events in the book and everything were, and what she makes of it compared to what I made of the book. And your thought processes and your ability to critically think and everything are coming along, and your brain is starting to lock down again into offline mode, into slower thinking mode, into processing mode, not just into passive consumer mode. That's what you want, because that's where the deep joy in life is, rather than the quick dopamine hit that you have to keep returning to every few minutes, and that sucks the joy out of you and the energy out of you for anything in your real life. Okay? It's a lot to take on board, isn't it? But it's fun. I promise you, it's fun. You might only suffer for 5 or 10 minutes when you start reading in order to switch your focus a bit, but I've made it as easy as possible for you by having it as an audiobook online before you choose a book for yourself to read. And we'll worry about that later, okay? We can talk about that when we get to the live stream, in the comment section of that, if you want help choosing a book for yourself or recommendations around. And I'm happy to talk to people about that. I love to get people reading. Okay, bye.